Hello and welcome back to the NBA DFS Slate Breakdown for Wednesday, January 8th. We're here. We're going to be breaking it down. We got 8 games to go over. I am your host, Tyler Wiemann at FlatTyler83 on your DFS sites and Twitter. Come join us on LionStar. It is only $39.99 per month. Gets you access to all we do, all the props, all the DFS. You get it all one low price. Now, let's get in. Let's figure out this slate and dig into it. Starting on FanDuel, position by position. Highest owned point guard on the slate, 8,900, Tyrese Maxey. He looks great. I'm going to have a lot of them. It's versus Washington. Everybody's been torching Washington. Entire Houston Rockets team went nuts yesterday because of it. Washington did enough to just keep in the game long enough that Houston really got there yesterday. Now, this Philly team is going to be without Embiid, without Paul George. When that happens, Maxey's usage goes through the roof. His fantasy point per minute goes up. His ceiling goes up. And what can I say? You got a guy that can hit 60 at 8.9K in a great spot. I'm there. Josh Giddey, 7K, 18%. Look, this is a very similar spot to the other day when he was super, super chalky. Now, his ownership is much more down today, but it still holds true. There is big time upside, but there is big time or a very low ceiling as these minutes are kind of all over the place. Now, there's still no AO, so I would say most likely scenario, he's getting, right around 30 minutes, and it's a decent spot, but also not one that I'm really jumping over people to get. James Harden, 8,700. Kawhi Leonard is back. I don't mind going here. I'm not getting a ton of him personally. It is an interesting spot versus Denver, though. One thing, though, if you pull up James Harden versus Denver, he has struggled most of his career in Denver. So I do have some reservations there. Maybe strip clubs are good in Denver and, he parties a little too much, or it's just because he's pretty much out of shape, but plays every night. So he can't handle the elevation. I don't know what it is, but there is that issue to worry about. Also, Kawhi Leonard is back. Personally, with Kawhi Leonard there, I know he's only playing 20 minutes a night. It still does affect Harden because it's a lot of the time, both of them on the court at the same time. And that hurts Harden as a whole. I don't mind having some, but not going hard. DeJounte Murray, 8,600, 15% own. His price is getting up there. He has the ceiling. Zion's out this game. I don't mind getting some Murray. He is questionable, though, so we do need to make sure he is playing. If he's out, CJ McCollum probably looks pretty good in this spot. Pivot time. We have the premier game on the slate. Thunder versus Cavs. Going to be interesting to see how this one plays, but I am liking some Cavaliers players. One of the things we get here is the Cavaliers are routinely blowing guys out, and their main guys aren't getting full minutes. We have them only at 32. Most of the projection systems in the industry have it right around that too, but I do think this is a perfect chance to give their starters, full run. So I think Garland at 32 minutes looks fine. If you push him to 34, he's going to start looking real good at 7.4K. So I am interested in Garland. I think he's interesting. Don't mind a little Mitchell also. And then also Anthony Simons. Talked about him the other day versus Detroit being a great matchup. He's in another pretty good matchup versus the Pelicans here with no Zion. The Trailblazers could stay in this game. Simon's shot is falling, and when that happens, he does have that big-time upside, can hit mid-upper 40s, low 50 at 7,300. There's plenty of ceiling and no ownership to get there, so I'm a little interested in Simons, and he's been playing solid minutes lately. So, getting over to point guard on DraftKings, we got to refresh it to today. All right, high owned Tyrese Maxey, 8,900. Same deal here, 31% owned. I think you got to like that. Next, we got Cassell at 3,400, 19% owned. There is no Jeremy Shohan. With that, he probably plays some minutes. I don't know how big his minutes are going to be. There is a chance he slides into the starting lineup, but I would say most likely Champagne kind of jumps in here. But he's probably getting more minutes regardless. And at 3,400, he's definitely able to get there on this salary. The only thing is in 25 minutes, I don't know if he can get 30, but he can definitely get 25 plus. I don't mind it, but also don't love it. Cade Cunningham, 9,800. Dude has just been a beast lately, and he's going against a Nets team that doesn't have anybody. Makes some sense to want to go there. Now, shooting guard on FanDuel, we got Kelly Oubre, 5,900, 37% owned. Look, Philly is going to be high owned. Pretty much all their starters are a little underpriced for being starters because there's no George and Embiid. And sites didn't, or at least FanDuel did not price guys up because of it. Oubre looks great. It's a good spot versus Washington. Everybody does good versus Washington. Most likely somebody on Philadelphia goes off. This is one of those days where you could probably force in one Philadelphia guy into every single lineup and have a good chance, to hit on some of it. Or to hit on somebody that you had to have. So that's more so what I'm saying. Keon Johnson, 5,500, 20% owned. It's, just a squad that's been totally dismantled with injuries. There's no Ben Simmons now, no Schroeder, no Russell, no Cam Thomas, no Cam Johnson. He's going to get big-time minutes again, 30-ish minutes again, likely running the point. I don't mind getting some Keon at 5,500. Think very high likelihood of 30 with a chance of 35 plus. He's fine. I'm going to get some. Giddey, we covered. Tim Hardaway, you know my feelings. Day in and day out, it's pretty much the same about him. Tyrese Maxey, 4,800. He did start last game. He could start again this time. If he's getting 30 minutes at 4,800, I'm super interested. There is a ceiling. He's been solid for a fantasy per minute standpoint. With all these guys out, he's right around a fantasy point per minute. Now, with the starters, probably a little bit lower than that, but I don't mind getting some Tyrese. Next, we got Malik Beasley, 5,400. He started last game, took 10 shots, was 1 of 10. He, I think, shot like 1 of 8 from 3. And just didn't get it done last game. But he's still taking 10 shots in a loss or while shooting terribly. And I see that as a good sign for wanting to go back to Beasley. I would expect him back in the starting lineup tonight. He could come off the bench, but either way, I think he gets 29, 30 minutes, and I'm fine having some at 5,400. Kind of would rather him coming off the bench just because usage is a little higher, a little less Cade Cunningham on the team or on the floor with him. But either way, Beasley makes some sense. Anthony Simons, we talked about. Brandon Boston, 4,700. He played 25 minutes last game. Now there's also no Zion. Trey Murphy's still out. I think there is a chance that Boston could slide into that starting lineup. And if he does, he's going to be pretty interesting. If he's just coming off the bench, I might not have much of him. But, right now, Lion Star has Javonte Green starting, but I think it's probably going to end up being Brandon Boston over Green. That's just my opinion. So need to watch that, how it goes. If it's Green, Green's going to look fine. Look good in this matchup. Just, minutes are really up in the air with that spot because a lot of people can kind of play that role for them tonight. Don't mind going there, though. Shooting guard on DK, Kelly Oubre, Lou Dort, and Cassell. So Lou Dort, 4K, 24% owned. He's going to probably play some pretty solid minutes. The ceiling is a little low with everybody healthy, but he's going to have a shot. The Cavs are 24th overall versus the small forward. If his shot is going in, if he's making threes, he can hit mid-20s into the 30s, and that's exactly what you want out of, a 4K player. I'm fine going here. Most likely he's going a little over-owned right now. As more value opens up throughout the day, I would expect his ownership to drop also. I'm fine having some. I'm not going to go super heavy, though. Cassell, we covered. Brandon Boston, 3,400 on DK. If he's starting, he's just a slam at 3,400. And Champagne, 3,600. I think there is a chance that he slides back into the starting lineup. And if so, he becomes interesting at that price. Small forward, FanDuel, Kelly Oubre, Caleb Martin. It's the same thing. We've covered the 76ers a ton already. Caleb Martin's in a very similar spot. I don't mind going there. I'm going to have a lot of 76ers tonight. There's just not much way around that. Tobias Harris, 6,100, 25% owned. It's the same thing. No Ivy. We're getting this the rest of the year. So Harris becomes a play. Once again, he's low 6Ks. I'm probably playing him pretty regularly until he's high 6Ks, which he's going to be back there at some point. It's just not up there yet. Fine going some Tobias. Pivot, we talked about Maxey, talked about Beasley. We got Denny, 6,600. He is questionable again. It is a wrist injury. Not sure if he's playing. He got hurt. Only played 29 minutes last game, but since he's entered back into the starting lineup, he has been playing big-time minutes, so it is pretty interesting to go with some Denny if he's on the court. It's a big if. There's no Jeremy Grant, and I don't mind having some Denny, but we have to wait and see if he's in. Jalen Wilson, 4,200. Clowney is also questionable for the Nets today. If he's out, I would expect Wilson to end up playing over 30 minutes, and at 4,200, he has some solid upside, can definitely get into the high 20s or 30. Don't mind going Jalen Wilson in that instance. And small forward on DK, Dort, Boston, Keyshawn George, 3,400 for George. He did start yesterday. Pretty much all the other same guys are going to be out, but we got Kuzma questionable, Sarr questionable, and Bub Carrington questionable. Could just lead to more minutes for George. If he's starting, he probably plays 27 again and absolutely in consideration. Caleb Martin, 4,900. You're obviously playing that. And power forward on FanDuel, Gershon Yabusele, 26% owned, 5,300. He is going to start again. I don't mind having some Yabu. The one thing I do have to say is temper the ceiling expectations. I think that he is adequately priced. He's going to get 5x, 6x most likely. Probably a great cash game play. My worry is the ceiling. I just don't know if the ceiling is there. He's not really a guy that's going to get you many steals and blocks. He's not going to score a ton of points, but he can have that low double-double, game in and game out. And it's a great spot versus Washington. So I do like it. Don't absolutely love it. I do worry that he's going to start alongside Drummond, which will lower his fantasy point per minute standpoint while Drummond is on the court, because Drummond's going to soak up so many boards. But I'm interested. It's more of a filler than going to win you a GPP type play, though. Caleb, we covered. Pivot time. Tobias, we covered. Noah Clowney, he is questionable, so we need to watch him. He played 29 minutes last game. If he's out, there's just a lot more minutes for Nets players, and there's not many Nets guys going to be playing. One guy we have not talked about yet on my like list was Evan Mobley, 8,300. Look, this game is an interesting one. I talked about with Garland already that there is a chance that these guys are playing more like 34 minutes instead of their 30 to 32-ish that they routinely play in blowouts. if you get Evan Mobley playing 34 minutes, he has a big-time ceiling. It's also a decent spot versus the Thunder and power forward. So I'm totally fine having some Mobley. I think this game is an interesting one, as I don't know if a lot of ownership is going to go there, but it could easily be one of the higher game totals of the night. But it could also play a little more playoff-like, a little slower, because it's two very good teams that, are trying to test themselves versus solid competition. These two teams don't really have much competition game in and game out. So I think there's a super wide variance in this game, but it is one that I am extremely interested in. Can't wait to watch. And power forward on FanDuel, Pascal Siakam, 6,900. That is too cheap for this guy. He's lived in, right around 40, and now it's a great spot versus the Bulls. Give me some Pascal Siakam. I'm fine that his history versus them hasn't been amazing. He's solid. I'm taking it. Yabu, George, we covered. Caleb Martin, we covered. Giannis, 11.4K. You can never go wrong with Giannis. Let's move it to the center spot on FanDuel. Noah Clowney, 18%. He wouldn't be my primary center on FanDuel. If I play him, he would be power forward only. The fact is, he just doesn't have the ceiling that I want out of the center spot. Isaiah Hartenstein, 7,400. I'm probably going to be right around the field, 15%, something like that. I do like the spot. Just don't love him. 8,100, Vucevic. I think he's in a great spot, probably slightly over the field, maybe 15% on him also. We know there's a solid ceiling. Also, Miles Turner's right in the same range that I like him, but not going super hard on him. But Miles Turner is questionable, so we do have to worry about that a little bit. And then pivot-wise, look, Jokic didn't play yesterday with an illness. It's not that often that these guys sit out 2 games due to an illness. I mean, it is back-to-back now, so who knows? He was trying to be able to play yesterday and then just didn't get it happening. I think there's a chance he ends up playing tonight. And I think you kind of got to like him in that spot. My one worry would be that, you put yourself in a similar spot to yesterday, as you go to play a ton of Jokic, and then he's announced out late in the day, and you don't know what to do. If he plays, I like him, and I think he may go a little under-owned because people are a little worried about pulling that trigger. It's not likely we know before lock what's going to happen with him. And then Mobley we covered, and center on DraftKings. Yabu, DeAndre Ayton, and Giannis. DeAndre Ayton, I am actually pretty interested in this spot. Pelicans 27th overall versus center. And we know when Ayton gets it going, he can play pretty well. He's played 34 and 35 minutes the last 2 nights. He gets into that mid-30s range. It usually means he's playing really well, and he has a big-time ceiling for his price. He's definitely a guy that I'm interested in tonight on this slate. So that'll do it for us today, guys. Wish you guys the best of luck. Let's make some money, and we'll be back tomorrow with more. Peace.